All right, we're live.
Hello.
One thing that people probably don't know about the Dog Gurus team is that there's some really passionate football watchers. And
Really?
yes,
I'm ashamed to say that I am not one of them.
well, let me just, Susan, our co-founder,
Yes.
diehard football fan. Houston's her team.
Mhm.
I obviously don't know enough because I don't really know the names of
The
football.
Houston Texans is one of them.
Sure,
Yeah.
sounds good. And then Sarah, our CEO, is a huge Ravens fan, and Amy, our LMS administrator, she
Mhm.
is a huge Steelers fan. And so
What?
most of this, last 4 to 6 months or however long it is, there's been a lot of smack talk on the Monday morning leadership call at 9 a.m. So it's really funny. I mean,
That is funny. Hey,
yeah, and
Josh.
hi, Josh. We're an all-female team. It just happens to be that way. It's not that, a guy can come work for us, but
Football isn't only for guys.
no, but it's funny because there is a lot of smack talk for the first 10
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I grew up, my dad was an Oilers fan when I was a kid, and they just always choked right before the Super Bowl. They would like almost make it, or they would make it and they would lose, or like he was just mad all the time. So mad he would turn the TV down and the radio up because he couldn't even stand the TV announcers. And
Well,
so I just equated football with angry.
that's how he feels about his team, that it always fizzles out. His team is the Vikings because he's from Minnesota. So,
Yeah. Aw, cute.
all right. So, why don't we go ahead and get started today?
Sure. Let's do it.
So welcome to the Dog Gurus Live. Thank you for joining us, for carving a little bit of time out of your day. We appreciate it. And we're hoping that you can get some really valuable information for the next 30 minutes. So if you don't know about the Dog Gurus are your trusted pet care business coaches who are passionate about helping pet care professionals create safe, thriving, and profitable facilities. Now, at the Dog Gurus, we are all about promoting safety first and positive always in everything that we do. So I'm Shantae Marquez, one of your Profit Network coaches, with my fantastic colleague, Courtney Emkin,
Yes.
who is also a Profit Network coach. And together, we've worked with countless pet care business owners to help them achieve their goals and elevate their operations. And one way businesses do that is they join us at our Pet Business Growth Workshop. That's coming up. It's just right around the corner. It's a couple weeks away. It's February 26th through the 28th in Fort Worth, Texas. So if you live in any of the neighboring cities, that's you Austinites, you out there in Houston, and of course, Dallas, come on out. Plan to come and join us for the next couple of days. Even the people in Oklahoma, Colorado, Arizona, come on out.
Mexico, San Antonio. I'm thinking of other Texas cities too. Yeah, there's so many. There's pet care facilities all over the place, and you're within driving distance, many of you. So
Absolutely. You won't regret it. Well, one of the things that makes us different about our workshop is that we actually have workshops that are specific for your phase of business. So whether you're a startup, whether you're in the growth phase, whether you're in your profit phase, your more mature business, we have workshops designed specifically for you. And we're not just going to lecture at you. We're actually going to have workshop exercises so you can have some breakthroughs and go home inspired and ready to get busy. So grab your tickets today because there's still a few left. And oh yeah, I was going to put this on the screen. Grab your dancing shoes too.
look at you with your cowboy boots. You're officially a Texan now with those boots.
Thank you to Charlotte.
I love that she's dancing.
Yeah, so we are also going to have an excursion where we're going to go out to the stockyards out in Fort Worth, and there's a ton of restaurants around there and shops, but there's also Billy Bob's, and we're going to do line dancing lessons. So come on and join. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. All right, so today's topic is smart moves for the slow months. Now, I was just telling Courtney before we started that, it really took me a couple of years of being in operations for me to realize I need to stop panicking during first quarter, because that's what I would do. I'd be like, oh my gosh, business is so slow. and I would run around frantic. But there's actually, this is a really great time to actually put a lot of things into effect. And there's also ways that you can really build up that daycare. I think that's the best place to focus on is your daycare business. But there's also a lot of great strategies that you can put into effect that we'll talk about. So, Courtney, why don't you get us started? Because I know you have a ton of great ideas. You just told me you were.
Yes, so I was just going to say I had my facility in the Austin area for over 25 years. And in all those years, boarding was really our bread and butter. And so we had daycare, probably 30 to 40, dogs a day for daycare. But when business was slow in January and February, every year it was this binge and starve kind of industry where we were just always worried about how we were going to not put food on the table, but make payroll and make sure everybody's getting what they need. And, everybody still wanted full-time hours. They didn't want to cut their hours and things like that. So we had to figure out ways to bring in extra income so that we could keep all of our staff so that when we were busy, we had everybody we needed and we weren't having to scramble to hire people. So we did a handful of things that really made a difference for us. One of the first things was we offered free evaluations for puppies under 4 months and seniors over 10 years. So that got some new dogs in the door. And yes, some of those dogs were old. However, those dogs would eventually pass away and they would get new puppies, and then that client was still coming. So those were all really good potential clients for the long term. And so that was a really great way. Normally we charged for evaluations, like I think it was $20 or $25 on top of the day of daycare, because we spent a lot of time doing that evaluation. And so we didn't want to give them away for free on a regular basis. So if you're not charging for evaluations, you could also charge for evaluations. We also had a healthy pet plan, which was sort of like a pet warranty, where you could charge either a couple dollars a day, or we did $10 a visit, which, looking back, I should have charged a daily rate. But it covered up to $500 for some injuries, not all. It didn't cover bloat. It didn't cover torn CCLs or, major, knee injuries, things like that. But it did cover, if they cut their foot or they, stepped on a thorn or they, got, nicked by a fence or something like that. Up to $500. And that brought a lot of clients peace of mind, but it also brought us a lot of income. And when the year ended, one of the last years we were in business, I think we made maybe $25,000 that year just from the pet plan, just from the healthy pet plan. And we may have only had to pay out less than $500. So it really cost us almost nothing. And it was totally worth it.
We did that all year round. For us, ours was a daily charge. We did, it started out, I think we started out charging $2 or $3 a visit, no matter what. And then we grew it to $5. And that was every day, even if they were booked for an overnight stay, every day they would be charged that amount. It just took a lot of pressure off of the staff, knowing what to do, what to say, how to handle it when something does happen, that where a pet needs to go and, little nick or something like that. So.
And even if it's a dog that maybe has something happen to them that wouldn't be covered, but it's a great client and you really want to keep that client, you can use those funds then to pay for something that wouldn't be covered, just because you want to let that client know that you really care and, you're going to go out of bounds and make an exception and just go ahead and take care of that, situation. So that was something that was really helpful. We didn't cover kennel cough, canine cough or anything like that. So we didn't cover any kind of contagious illness. The other thing that we did, go ahead.
I was going to say, one of the things that we did is the only time that we had actually lower rates was for first quarter. So our high season for us was April through December, and the low season was January to March. So I'm going to just clip that off so it doesn't keep beeping at me. So January through March was our low season, and we would drop our overnight rate to help encourage people to, want to utilize it. So that was one thing that we did during the slow months.
Yeah, that's interesting. The other alternative to that would be peak season rates, where you have, your regular price, January, February, but then you charge a higher price during the busy season. And for us, that was every major holiday, every, spring break, summer. We were in Austin, so ACL and South by Southwest, like those were all high seasons for us. And we charged, $5 a night extra or so
Yeah.
for
It's like the
those.
same thing, just flipped kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The other thing that we did, which early on when we first started, and we were pretty like nobody was doing what we were doing when we first started. So we started out as like an all-inclusive, we didn't want to nickel and dime our clients, but eventually we started offering we wanted to offer all these other services. And, my staff was really upset about me wanting to charge for these new add-on services. But I was like, no, everything we did offer is still included. It's just now you can do these other things. So that included like photo shoots, late night walks. We had a tuck-in service where the dog would get like a gourmet treat, belly rubs, and a story. And it was like $18. But if you wanted a night walk, which was $15, we could do both for $25. And so people would totally do that. We were reading stories of dogs. We would take videos of dogs literally falling asleep while we were reading to them. They just loved it. So that was,
I was actually talking to somebody today that was, reserved to want to change from the all-inclusive prices. And she felt the same way that you felt. You don't want to nickel and dime people.
Yeah.
But there's different ways that you can do it. And my suggestion to get over that like mentality, if that's what you're doing, is to create packages, overnight packages that they can choose from. And it would include all these different extras. And if they could choose to add it on or not, but you could create like not for Thanksgiving, for 4th of July, we would do this package where, it was like a calming package, basically, all these extra bells and whistles, with it. But, it wasn't forced upon somebody, but it just looked really nice and easy for the customer to be like, ooh, that looks cool. Let's do that and choose it. And then all of a sudden you increased, your overnight rate by $25, $30.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I think right now I have a dog that I've just started boarding for the first time as a client, which is really weird. And it's a very reasonable nightly rate, maybe, 45 or somewhere in there. But then I added a package, which includes 2 playtimes and 2 business walks and a gourmet treat and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh yeah, I need that. That's an extra $21 a day that I'm choosing to pay for. Oh, if I want a report card, that's $11 each time I want a report card. So there are definitely ways to add to that ticket.
Yeah. And it's all about how you position it and market it, because you can create some really cute package names and themes and sell it that way. And it just changes the whole feel of it. So
yeah. So I agree.
One of the other things I think to increase occupancy for daycare during the slow season, because that's where I think most people would be utilizing the services, is, have some special theme parties that are going on. And don't be afraid if it's slow, have your front desk people go through, your most popular 100 customers that have been in the last 6 months and reach out to them and say, hey, we're having a party. We miss Cooper. It would be so much fun to have him participate. This is what we're doing, da, 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 and invite them to come in. I mean, look, if it's slow, there's times to be able to do that and reach out to those customers, let them know you're thinking about them and invite them back in your doors.
Yeah. And even if they say, I can't come to that, they'll say, but I do need X, it does keep you top of mind. So, and you're being like neighborly by calling to invite them. You're not like, hey, I need you to sign up for this. You're like, hey friend, we miss you. We'd love to see you at this. We're doing this really fun thing. We think your dog would love it. Does that interest you? Would you like me to sign you up? Or is there another boarding stay or a daycare stay that we could, get reserved for you? I think people, even if they're surprised by the invitation, they would still be more likely to sign up for something else.
And I think that they just appreciate you asking how their dog's been. You haven't seen their dog in a while, too. People love to talk about their pets, right?
Yes. And we had trainers that would do training classes, and the next time they would offer the next level of class, they would call all their graduates from the first level and say, hey, we're starting our second level class. We'd love to have you. And so they were out there just like, beating the pavement, trying to get new, clients to re-sign up for training, which I thought was really great.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that people, like, their first natural reaction is to offer a discount, right? Like, create like this package. And yes, you can do that. And actually, in the beginning years of my business, I did do that. And I did have some sales, but ultimately I didn't want to train my customers to only purchase when I had these discounted packages.
Right.
So, I found other creative ways to perk their interest and to, want them to participate in the services. And if you are tinkering around with the idea of adding enrichment, this is a perfect time to try because it's slower. So you have time to work out the kinks, right? And I would suggest, look, start out small. Just offer one activity a week and promote it. It could be the same activity, maybe all week long, and every day your front desk offers it or calls and said, hey, we have this going on. Would you like to come in and try it? Start out the one activity for that week. That's what everybody does. And slowly figure out your processes and how you can make this happen and grow the program.
I love that. And you can use Canva to like make a calendar and put that calendar up on your website or out on social media and just say, hey, these are the activities we're doing this month. This week we're doing this activity, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're doing these activities. And then your clients can get excited about and want to participate. Oh, I want my dog to do yoga on Wednesday, and I want my dog to do paw print art on Friday. And so I think if you give them, a calendar ahead of time, then they get to anticipate what they want to be a part of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're a little over halfway through. So I want to switch gears and talk about other ways to utilize a slow period, because you could be really strategic. So I know, listen, all of us business owners, we know that there is a ton of projects that need to get done, whether it's building that SOP manual.
Yes.
Hey, maybe there's some things, the maintenance or big repairs that need to be done. Like, this is the time to do all that. Or maybe you want to try a new service, like I just said, the enrichment. Or maybe you want to really get down and refresh on some of the training that could be
exactly.
CPR. I mean, this is the time to utilize that. Know that going into first quarter is going to be slow. It's going to be slow every year. So strategize to use that time effectively and use that time wisely.
Yeah, it's a great time to reconnect with your team, start having staff meetings if you're not doing that regularly. Make sure that you're all on the same page when it comes to training, that everybody's doing their job the same way with SOPs. I know for a while we had one manager who just kind of had his own way of doing things. And everybody was like, well, when he's here, I do it this way. But when she's here, I do it that way. And I was like, no, we're not doing that. We're going to get an SOP that everybody reads and we're all going to do it the same way.
I mean, can you imagine being an employee and having to switch up how you do things depending on who's managing that night?
And being the owner and trying to manage the manager, that's just like, I do it how I want. It is maddening. So yeah,
well,
SOPs and employee handbooks really come in handy during that time.
Absolutely. And maybe an example like that is time to review your policies, your employment policy.
You think?
Yeah. And your disciplinary actions too, because a manager that decides they're going to do things their own way and not follow the company's policies is probably a disaster waiting to happen. So
yeah, it did make things a little sticky. I will admit.
I mean, I had those challenges too. You're not the only one. And I'm sure everybody listening can, I think, about one time or another where they had that manager.
Yeah. Another thing I was going to say is this is a really good time to reconnect with your marketing efforts. So if you're not currently doing an email newsletter, and you might say to yourself, no one reads email anymore. Well, some people do. And so it's still a good idea to have something out there, or maybe you send out a group text, through somewhere like maybe you work with Broadly or another text, some texting service where you can send out texts once a week to your clients, just reminding them of sales that you have going on or new services that you're offering. You want to use this slow time to reconnect as a business owner with your marketing skills, make sure you're looking at a budget or looking at your financials monthly, redoing your training with your staff, reconnecting with your staff, maybe doing reviews. There's so many things that you can be doing in the slow time to make better use of your time than just sitting around worrying.
Yeah, I mean, that just reminds me, you bringing up broadly, is that if you don't have, you know, a lot of the software companies have surveys that you can automatically send out after
Mhm.
like every 3 bookings. If they come often, like daycare all the time,
Yeah.
the little, you know, settings you can choose. But if it's a lodging one, you know, you want to make sure, send out a quick survey, 2 questions. How
Mhm.
did you do? You know, would you recommend us? If they give a thumbs up, a thumbs down, that thumbs down, that's immediate reaction. You got to
Yes.
respond within an hour, you know, to
Yes.
that. And you got to call them up and say, hey, you know, we saw that your experience wasn't so delightful. We'd love to learn how we can make some improvements. Can you tell me a little bit about, you know, your thoughts? I mean, you really want to get in front of that before people
Mhm.
become keyboard warriors and all of a
Right.
sudden put a review out there that's
Exactly.
flattering.
And I think clients really appreciate you being proactive like that, because a lot of clients will put in a review like that and never hear from anybody, and so to hear from someone immediately, especially an owner or a manager, when something doesn't go right and that person's willing to be accountable for what went wrong and to try to make it right, that speaks volumes about your integrity as a company and how you treat your customers. So that's great. You hear
Okay.
my little dog just tearing around in the back.
Oh, you just froze, and then I think I froze too, but now we're back on. So,
Oh, okay. I don't know. I don't know what I missed, but yeah,
eh, nothing. You're
it's
fine.
all good. It's all good. Yeah. So I just think there's a lot of things. If you're already a part of the Dog Gurus and you have access to our learning management system, this is a great time to start going through your modules and catch up on anything that that you haven't gone through yet. You can do it by subject or by topic. You can just search and go into the system and look at things that way. But that's one thing I would recommend too.
Yeah, are all of our Pet Guru College users.
Mhm.
You know, this is a great time to go over certain modules in there, like, for example, how to manage barking in enclosures or how to manage barking in play groups or something like that, you know.
Mhm.
But you can go and use that catalog of information to do review sessions, like little lunch and learns with the staff, and just sharpen up their skills. Because as you know, when they go through all that training in the beginning of their onboarding with you, it, you know, there's so much information for them to digest, and it can be easily forgotten. So
Mhm.
that's also a good thing to do. Training during the slow times.
Yes, I totally agree.
Mhm.
I mean, it doesn't all have to be specifically around, us. I mean, it can be around any topic, but it can also be around. I had one staff meeting once where we just did a training on just like talking people through stress management, just because right now the world is really crazy and there's a lot of people that are super stressed out. Maybe you just need to take a staff meeting just to check the pulse of your employees, just emotional health, and make sure that they know you care about their emotional well-being, just you can do trainings on meditation. I mean, it doesn't all have to be specifically dog related. It can be anything that helps them be better at their job.
Or just go plan a fun outing. I mean, or maybe a
Mhm.
fun afternoon or something like that too.
Mhm.
Show them some love.
Yes. And if you're open 7 days a week and you think there's never a time for a party or something like that, you could always bring food in, have it catered or something, and
Mhm.
just bring some food in, even if it's as simple as just ordering, a half dozen pizzas and, you know.
Yeah. Sometimes our clients would bring us food just randomly, which
Mhm.
was always fun from some of the good local shops in the area. That was
Yeah.
always a delight for the staff.
Yeah, I miss my clients, I really do,
Aw.
but it's fun, it's fun. That's the To me, that was one of the best parts of just, having a facility, is just really getting those relationships with the clients, and they're so giving and loving, and yeah,
Yeah.
you take
Yep,
care of their animals, so.
absolutely. All right. Well, hopefully that gave some of you some ideas to utilize and maybe a shift of mindset that possibly needed to help just
Mhm.
ease you and not have you be in panic mode like I used to be. So,
Yes. Me too. Me too.
All right. Last thing that I will do is, of course, invite you to join our Facebook group, Grow Your Pet Care Business. That is an awesome environment and community to be a part of, where you can just reach out and ask people's advice, or just get some support of what's going on, whatever challenges you're facing, or even to celebrate some wins too.
Yes.
That as well. We only have 2 rules for that group. That is to please be positive. So we don't like it when people are mean. We want to keep it positive.
Be nice.
Yes, be nice.
Mhm.
And no selling in there. So if you're a business, we welcome you to come in and offer advice, but we just really don't want you being putting up like promo ads and things like that. We want to keep it a safe space for them to utilize to get valuable education. So I did put the link in there. So hope to see you joining that group if you haven't done so. And yeah, we'll wrap it up. Everybody have a
Thank
great
you,
day.
Shantae. Thanks everybody for watching. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.